Hello out there. Welcome to Abe Clark's World. And today I am honored to sit down with a true icon, my friend, someone who didn't just dance on Soul Train, she defined it. Cheryl Song broke barriers as one of the few Asian Americans on the show, moving with power, grace, and unforgettable style. You've seen her glide across the legendary line or glide down the legendary line. You've seen her in Michael Jackson's Beat It video. You've seen her also in Rick James' video. What was that video, Rick James?
Super Freak.
Super Freak. But today, you're going to hear her story. Raw, real, and in her own words. This is Soul Train royalty. This is Cheryl Song. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Abe.
Okay, Cheryl, let's get right into it.
All right.
I have developed, not developed, I asked Chat GPT to come up with 10 questions for you, for me to ask. And we also have like some fan favorites
Okay, that'd be nice.
that we'll put in the mix. And the first one from Chat GPT is, let's take it way back. How did you first fall in love with dance?
When I was a little girl, I remember growing up in an Asian household, the kids, whenever we spoke up or said anything, we always got in trouble, you know. So we were taught to be quiet. And the only way I could express myself, I found, was physically through movement. So that became my way of kind of like talking without talking. And that way I wouldn't get in trouble for being loud.
Well, I guess I sort of went through sort of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, you figure out these things, you know, how
you
to
figure out a way to try and get something accomplished
Right.
without getting in trouble.
The second question Chat has for you, well, you weren't just on Soul Train, you became a symbol. How did you first get cast on the show or get on the show? How did you get there?
Well, the Soul Train way of managing all the dancers were, I believe in the very, very beginning before I got on, the dance coordinator was Pam Brown. And I kind of learned that she would go to the parks to find dancers. This was before I came on the show. And that's how they got the first dancers when they moved to LA. So she was the dance coordinator. And then I think they progressed from the parks to going to different high schools to find dancers. So I knew a couple of people from my high school and they were on the show. And they kind of knew that I was the one Asian girl that liked to dance. So they I remember this was in either the gym or around the gym. We were at school and two of my friends, it was Lowell Silas, who's deceased, bless his heart, and Dane Letcher. And they were dancers on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty close to Dane. So they came and told me, they said, we're going to bring you on Soul Train. And I was so shocked, but so excited because I knew everybody was Black, but they decided to stick out their necks and take me. And that's how I got on.
And being the first Asian, probably one of the first non-Black people.
Yes.
That's history in the making twice.
It was kind of scary, my first time walking on the set because I walked in with Dane and the dancers were already there, half of my guests. And when they saw me walking in through the back, they all turned around and stared at me like, what is she doing here? And I was kind of very, very nervous. But I just, tried not to make a scene. And when they asked for the dancers to get up, out on the stage and start dancing, I just went with Dane and started dancing.
Wow. The third question. Speaking of being scared, what was it like being the only Asian woman dancing on the show and coming into a black space?
Oh, that's scared with quotation marks around it. Can you imagine? Like, I felt like I had no idea how they would receive me. So I was scared and nervous. So I remember walking up with Dane, and we walked through the back entrance, and everybody turned around, and it was silence.
That is so interesting. So you have experienced things that blacks experience. And what I mean by that, because you came into an all predominantly black world, and you got what we get when we go into a white world.
Yes.
Oh my God,
yes.
that is good.
That's the first time anyone ever pointed that out to me.
So you understand even the prejudices that comes along.
And just the feeling of being different and not knowing how you would be received.
Right.
So I just said, okay, here goes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was the energy like on the set tapings? Any moments that stand out to you?
The energy, once the music played, I felt like everything, all prejudice, all animosity, all nervousness kind of disappeared because you concentrated on the music and you just got to express yourself through dance. So that's how I became accepted, because dance is its own language and everybody can communicate that way without language.
That's right. That is so funny. I remember when that first date I came to the show, that you danced in Rick James' video Super Freak and Michael Jackson's Beat It. Tell us how those opportunities came about. Start with Michael Jackson first, though. How did you get the Michael Jackson video?
I got that as it was a fluke. I knew Michael's manager at the time, who was Ron Weisner. And I knew him because since I worked for Don Cornelius, Ron Weisner knew Don very well. And I started talking to Ron. We became friends. And Ron took me to meet Michael Jackson. And I remember Ron picked me up and said, I want you to meet Michael. And I was so excited. So we went, it was a little tea shop on Melrose by the Bodhi Tree bookstore.
Okay.
It's not there anymore, but Michael was just sitting there all by himself, in a little booth. Drinking.
Were there other people around?
There were a few people minding their own business, drinking, just coming into the tea place to have their coffee or tea. But nobody was around him. He was just sitting by himself, slowly sipping some tea. And so we walked up and Ron said, Michael, I want you to meet Cheryl. And Michael kind of looked up and smiled and he said, hi. He was so shy. And but that was our first meeting. So Ron called me and said, hi, Cheryl, Michael wants to talk to you. And I said, oh, okay. And so Michael got on the phone and said, I want you to help find me some dance. I said, whatever you need, you got it. And he goes, I want some of the dancers to teach me how to do that backslide. And I said, no problem, I'll set it up. So that's how Michael kind of learned how to do what he named the moonwalk.
Right. Wow. So did you connect him with any person in particular?
Well, in the beginning, before that happened, he wanted me to find him the pop lockers for one of his videos.
Mhm.
So I was in charge of casting the pop lockers. He used those people that I picked. They were basically from Soul Train.
Trying to do.
Yes, you have to pursue what you love.
Right.
Because I remember my parents wanted me to go into math or science.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, oh no, you're going to study math or science because you're going to be a doctor or a scientist. And I knew I was going to be reprimanded and just, my parents would be disgusted with me. But I told them I was going into dance.
What do you think Soul Train did for culture?
Oh my God.
And especially for Asian Americans.
Well, I think Soul Train brought out the beauty of the Black culture by dance and music. So that itself was a stepping stone. And I don't think I brought out the Asian culture by itself. I think I more brought out the beauty of dance. And it showed that dance is colorblind. And that I'm kind of proud of that.
But I think because you were on the show, you connected the show to the Asian cultures. It's because remember when that Asian Japanese couple came on the show and they went down the line. You remember that?
No.
Oh my God! Yeah, there was a Japanese couple and they were actually brought in through Don's connection.
I don't even
because
remember that.
Soul Train was huge over in Japan.
Yes, it was.
Right.
It really was.
And they brought this male and female couple and they came down the line. They didn't dance on the riser or anything. I'm going to show that.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
So when you watch this, you'll see who
Maybe
I'm talking
I wasn't
about.
paying attention.
Yeah. But yeah, so I believe you affected the Asian world in a sense.
Little did I know,
right.
Because I thought that I didn't know that Asians watched Soul Train. As far as I knew, it was a Black show for Black audiences. So I just was on there because I wanted to dance. I didn't think I would have an effect on anyone. I just wanted to be there to dance. Little did I know that a lot of Asians watched it, as I did, but I just thought I was just dance crazy.
Wow. We're going to take a quick break to hear what our sponsors have to say. We'll be right back. Today's sponsor is Box Chicken. Thank you so much to all the new subscribers, to all the new viewers for liking and subscribing to the channel. I really, really, really appreciate it. I promised you I would bring you more content like this, and I will continue to do that. Again, thank you for subscribing to the channel, and Box Chicken, thank you for your sponsorship. Okay, we are back. Cheryl, did anyone ever underestimate you because you were Asian? And how did you handle it?
That's a really strange question because nobody ever directly said, how does it feel being Asian on a Black show? Because I never looked at it like that.
I think back then we looked at things differently than we do now because of political correctness and all that kind of stuff. So we were pretty much innocent in our thinking.
Right. And being that age, being in high school, college, you don't think of everything as a division.
Right.
You just think about your goal, and my goal was to dance. And so I never thought that, oh, I'm the only Asian. Even though I knew I was, once you get on the set, everybody was there to dance. Didn't even matter what color you were. I never felt prejudiceness or any of that from the dancers that I knew. They were all very welcoming and we all were just there to have fun.
Mm-hmm. It's a different world now.
Mm-hmm.
If Don Cornelius were alive today, what do you think he would say about your legacy?
I think he would be very proud of the way I handled myself, the way I tried to remain in a positive light at all times. And I think he'd be very proud of me.
Do you remember when you and I worked at the Soul Train Dance Studio?
Oh, yes.
That's a little history, y'all. Cheryl and I worked. Cheryl was you were a secretary or assistant, like slash.
Yeah, I did
You
the
did
attendance
right.
and collected the money and
I didn't do much. I did.
Who
I
was
was
there?
I was the errand boy. I would
yeah,
would
Abe
Don,
do this, Abe.
right.
Yeah.
Abe do this. I was a little runner everywhere.
Yeah. But it was a great learning
and I also taught
experience.
some of the disco classes.
Yes, that was so much fun.
Yes, it was. It was like, I mean, I drive past that building every morning going over to the kitchen. Wow. And everything is so different over there now.
Yeah, it's gone. The studio's gone. But that was such a big risk for Don to do that. And it was so much fun.
I'm so glad he did that because it gave me a different outlook on life. It's when I bought my first car from working there.
We were exposed to so much more.
Yeah. And that's when I really felt like Chuck and Don were really protecting us.
Yeah, they were behind us.
Yeah. And so I learned a lot about the business because of Don and Chuck during that time at the Soul Train Dance
Don
Studios.
was very protective of us.
Yeah.
And in a way, he wanted us to succeed, but he didn't want us to succeed that much because he still wanted us to dance on Soul Train.
That's true. That's because if we had too much success, the union would say, you can't dance unless they pay you.
Right.
And that's what happened to Bobcat.
Really?
I found that's why Bobcat left the show. So he went to Don and Chuck and told them what was going on, and Don said, bye.
Yeah, I understand both sides of that story because Bobcat was such a great technical dancer and he was a paid dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And to go on that show and not be paid was against
the rules,
the people in the union. And I totally get both sides.
So this is our last question. This is my personal question. It's like, what are you doing now in your career? Are you retiring? Are you going to do other things to further your career as a celebrity? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's nice that you say I'm a celebrity, but
well, you're celebrity in your own right. Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
There's all different levels of celebrityism, and I mean, just look at those people that are on the Housewives of Atlanta. When they first came on the television, we were like, who are these people?
Yeah.
And but now they are celebrities.
Yes. Well, you learn through experience, and you learn to be more selective of what you put out.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of people that would, hey, you want to do this, you want to do that, and it's a two-way world where they want to use you for your popularity, but yet you have to think about yourself long term. Is it going to be good? It may be good for them, but is it going to be good for you?
Right.
So a lot of things I turned down because I don't see myself getting much from it.
Right.
So I'm very, very selective in what I do.
And you have to be.
Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl, for coming on the show.
My pleasure, Abe.
And we will see you next time on the Abe Clark's World.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for liking and subscribing to the channel.